Hi everybody, it's Ashley. Welcome back to my channel, and today is my February wrap-up. I read a lot of good books in February that I really enjoyed, and I just can't wait to talk about them. So, without further ado, let's jump right on in. The first book that I read this month was The Truth About Melody Browne by Lisa Jackson. This one was a little bit different for Lisa Jackson. It did have kind of a thriller story. It had a mystery to it, but it wasn't really much of a thriller. It was more of a drama, but so it took a little bit getting used to because I am so used to her thrillers, but I really enjoyed this. In The Truth About Melody Browne, we are following Melody, who has a kind of a strange memory problem. She does not remember anything at all before she was 9 years old. When she was 9, there was a house fire, and everything prior to that fire, she has absolutely no memory of. And she had a falling out with her parents when she turned 15 because she became a teenage mother, and she cut off ties with them when she was kicked out of the house. So there is like a very small part of her life, about 6 years of her childhood, that she even has any clue of. And she goes on a date to and they go see this show with this hypnotist. She gets called up on stage and is hypnotized, and then she starts having these memories come back to her, and it starts sparking some things about her childhood, some mysteries and stuff she didn't have any clue of, and she goes down this long journey to discover her past, to find out what happened to her. And I loved this story. It was told so beautifully. It was very unique. I just felt for Melody so much because she's having all this stuff come back to her, but she doesn't really understand it. She can't ask anybody about it because she doesn't have a relationship with her family anymore. This was a very good book. I highly recommend this one, and it's a good feel-good story, I personally feel like, because it gets you in the feels for sure. The next book that I read this month was Dorothy Must Die by Danielle, Paige. This is in the Wizard of Oz world, and I will say this, in my TBR video, I stated that this was a retelling of Wizard of Oz, with our main character being on the witch's side, and after reading it, that's not necessarily true. This is more of a continuation, and it's told in a very interesting way. This takes place, I can't remember how many years after the original story when Dorothy landed in Oz. But in this story, we're following Amy, and she arrives in Oz pretty much in the same way, in a tornado from Kansas. And she arrives to a dark and gloomy Oz that is like completely devoid of life and color and happiness. And she finds out that back in Dorothy's day, they made her a princess, and the fame kind of went to her head, and she turned dark. So now, because Amy comes from the same place, it is up to her to defeat Dorothy and get Oz back to what it once was. It was an interesting take because it's like we're told the story of Dorothy being this happy-go-lucky, and by all accounts they say she was when she arrived, but she just turned. It was like the power trip. So this was very cool in the way that it was told, and the characters were awesome. The descriptions were awesome. I loved the atmosphere in this. I love the parallels between like the modern day and Dorothy's time. It was awesome. There are actually more books in the series. This is a series, And I do plan on getting to the other ones as well because I really, really enjoyed this one. All right, next up was a book from my 6-month Reading Unhaul Challenge, Read It or Unhaul It. And that one was Don't Let Go by Harlan Coben. In this one, we are following a police officer named Knapp. And when he was in high school, his twin brother and his girlfriend were killed in a tragic accident. Some people believed that that it was a murder-suicide pact. There was a lot of mystery surrounding their deaths, and Knapp really never got over it. And it didn't help that very shortly afterwards, his own girlfriend just took off. She left. And he began to suspect that she knew something about these deaths, what happened to his brother and his girlfriend, and he used his status as a cop to put her fingerprints in the system, which he was not supposed to do. And years later, he gets a hit at a crime scene where she was. So he's trying to piece together the mystery of her, why she is on the run, why she's using a fake name, if she had something to do with their deaths, if she knew what happened, and if it is related to events that are happening now. I was relatively surprised by this. I wasn't really expecting to like it, but I actually did think that this had a very interesting premise, and the writing itself was pretty good. I enjoyed it while I was reading it. I don't necessarily think I would read it again, but I am glad that I did read it. I enjoyed myself in the moment, but I have a feeling that this one isn't going to stick around in my memory bank for very long. But it was a fun time while reading it. Okay, everything else that I read this month was either on Kindle or on Audible, so I don't have the physical copies in front of me. The first book that I read on Kindle was Dawn to Dusk by Bethel. This is a fun, spicy romance story following a Mesre who used to be part of a council of witches that was at war with these beasts. And she doesn't really believe in the cause. She decides that she's no longer going to fight for a cause she doesn't believe in, commits the ultimate act of treason and leaves, and actually has to seek refuge with the beast that she was previously fighting against, forming relationships and protecting them. I really, really enjoyed this book. It was short, and it is a standalone. As of right now, I'm not sure if that will ever change, but Kat Bethel has stated that this is a standalone. This just has such a fun magic system. Like, the magic system in this is beyond fun. It is so engaging. It really sucks you in. I'm not typically into shape-shifting stuff, and there is shape-shifting in here, but I gotta tell you, it's done in a fun way. It's not in, the usual stuff that you always see, with the werewolves and stuff. It's like one of the characters shapeshifts into a unicorn. I like that. It's new. It's fun. It's interesting. It's not something you've seen a million times, And it is definitely spicy, so you spicy readers out there, you will definitely enjoy this one. I give this one a 5 out of 5 stars. Absolutely incredible. The next book that I read on Kindle was The Whisper Man by Alex North. This one was another one that I really enjoyed, but it's had a lot of talk on YouTube, on TikTok. It's kind of been everywhere. So I kind of expected to like it, but I didn't expect to like it as much as I did. I have a tendency to not like overhyped books. I get so up in my head. I get so worked up with it. And I start imagining this one thing, and if it doesn't turn out to be that, I get very disappointed. And that wasn't really the case with this one. I still enjoyed it. There were a couple of elements that I thought weren't needed, and I did do a full review for this, so I will leave that in the description for you so you can go check that out. And this is a story of Tom and Jake, father and son. They've lost the mother of the family, and they relocate because Tom wants to give his son a fresh start. He thinks he's haunted by these awful memories of what happened before, and he just wants to start over. And they end up in this town where I think it was like 20 years before, there had been a series of attacks on young boys committed by somebody called the Whisper Man. And he was called that because he would stand outside their windows and whisper to them until they let him in. But this man has been locked away. They found out who it was, and he's in prison. And now this is starting to start back up again. And on top of that, people keep telling Tom that he is in the scary house, and he finds out that his house is directly related to this crime. So it's a very, very interesting story. I loved the characters in this. I loved the storyline. I loved the way that everything was kind of woven together. It was very, very, very cool, and I would very much enjoy reading from Alex North again. The next book that I read this month was Cold Blooded by Lisa Jackson. I just enjoy Lisa Jackson's writing, and she is a little over the top, and she is a little out there, and she's marketed as romantic suspense, which I really could argue that she shouldn't be, and I do think that that tends to turn some people off of her work because they're not getting what they're expecting to get. So, I mean, I will say that up front because I know that she is not for everybody, but I personally just really enjoy it. I know that her books are a little crazy. I know that they're over the top. I know that they're wild, but that's kind of what I like about them. I like that even though they cover dark topics or whatever, it's like it's done in like this wild roller coaster ride kind of a way, and I could just escape. And her books are always so long, but they don't ever feel like it. At least to me, they don't feel like it while I'm reading it. And then when I'm done, I'm like, oh, holy crap, I just read that in like 2 days. But with Cold Blooded specifically, this is the second book in the New Orleans series, which features the detectives Bence and Montoya, who were also in Hot Blooded. And we're following a completely different case. They're the investigators on it, though. And in this case, we have a psychic named Olivia who goes to Bence to report that she is having visions of a man attacking women, and he is dressed as a priest, and he's calling them after saints' names, and this starts to match crime scenes that pop up. So they're starting to realize that this particular serial killer is killing people based on, I think it's the birth of saints, or it's something to do with saints. I read it towards the beginning of the month, so I don't remember the exact details. But they start kind of throwing together his playbook and trying to figure out what saint he might be targeting next, and therefore who he might be targeting that he could be connected to. But because Olivia has this like psychic connection, it gives them a leg up. I personally really, really enjoyed this. I thought that it was a lot of fun. Do I think it would actually happen? Probably not. But I had a fun time reading it, and I cannot wait to get to the next book in this series, Shiver. This upcoming month is going to be a lot of fun. Okay, and the last book that I read this month was Last Breath by Karin Slaughter. I hate talking bad about Karin Slaughter because she is so well loved, and I like her too. I don't dislike Karin Slaughter. I just I'm not as into her as it seems like a lot of other people are, and this one in particular, this very well could be my own fault. This book is a prequel to The Good Daughter, which I had mixed feelings on The Good Daughter to begin with. But it was also a very short novella, and I did not realize that because I didn't read it physically. So it was on Audible, and I was like, oh, I didn't know that there was a prequel to The Good Daughter. So I turned that on. I didn't really pay attention to the length. I just, saw that it was connected to The Good Daughter. And It was extremely short. I mean, it was well written. We're following the sister Charlie in this one, and she is being hired by this young girl who wants to be emancipated from her grandparents because she believes that they are abusing her trust fund. So this is all about Charlie, and it's beautifully written, but my biggest issue with this book was because it was so short, it abruptly ended in a strange place, in my opinion. It did not feel like there was any resolution. It did not feel, it felt like it was the end of a chapter and there should have been the rest of the book. So I thought there was something wrong with my Audible, or that I had accidentally just gotten a sample. So I went to look. I'm like, okay, it's like something's wrong. Obviously, they didn't have the full audiobook. And I realized how short it was and that it was a novella. So that ending was intentional. And because that was intentional, and it wasn't just my Audible account, I really, really was disappointed because I felt like there was not any resolution to the A story or to the B story. It was just an abrupt ending that felt more like the ending of a chapter. I don't know if that means that there's going to be more books connected in to these characters in this universe, but it just seemed like a strange place to end it. And it's like, I don't have a problem with novellas as a rule, but it was just the abruptness of it. I really did not like that. And I don't know. It's like I have mixed feelings because what was there was written well. And I was enjoying it, but I feel like I didn't get any payoff or any resolution. And that kind of upset me a little bit. Okay, so that is all that I have for you guys today. If you like this video, please make sure to subscribe, like, comment, follow me on the social medias. Click that bell if you want to be notified of all of my upcoming videos. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.